I think the biggest long-term winner in America, from an American perspective, is someone who I didn't even talk to. The one person in Eugene I wanted to talk to. Well, not true, but one of the few that I wanted to talk to that didn't talk to on Saturday. I literally did not watch a single race from the stadium. I stayed in the basement, dedicated to the task at hand, talking to everyone. I think I did over 25 interviews. But Miss Sha'Carri Richardson, never saw her come through, but she was pretty darn good on the track. To get second place in this race after being kind of way back last week was a big step forward. We estimated last week, John, we thought she was in 11 flat shape. Would she run 10.92? I just think she's got plenty of time now to move that down and be a factor, potentially even for the win, which is crazy. So I thought Sha'Carri did very, very well. And while I really wanted to talk to her, and while I really think it's an absolute joke that our sport is not more professional, that we don't require basic professionalism of the meet directors, of the meet organizers, of the participants to, explain things to the media and fans. I think it should be a requirement that you speak to the media after your race. I think it was very smart of her not to speak to the media. She just went through there and said, not today, not today. Just don't talk big. Just stay focused on the task at hand, and we'll see you at USA's and we'll see you at Worlds.
Well, I was kind of shocked with you guys because I had some family obligations during pre. Oh, if that's what you want to call a Champions League watching party, but that was only secondary. It was.
How can you possibly spin that as family obligations? Were you watching with us with your wife and daughter, Weldon?
My wife and daughter were there. We were invited over to a friend's house who said, "Hey, I'm gonna have the game on," and then we had dinner with an uncle immediately after. So that's the family obligations.
Okay,
I wasn't able to write, so catching up on the meet's sort of interesting when you don't see it. I think we need to think about this. If you guys got ideas of what you want to see in our coverage, email us. Because at first I was trying to see a lot of the races, but I immediately, rewinding the broadcast, I saw the men's 100. I think I saw the Bowerman Mile. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, man, he just destroyed those guys. I think I didn't see the women's 100. So then I was just reading the recap, and you guys are praising Sha'Carri Richardson. Oh, she must do pretty well. And then I watched the actual race, and I'm like, wow, she got smoked. I was sort of shocked. And I even argued with John, and he put it in perspective. She got smoked by Elaine Thompson-Herah, but she, at this stage, looks like she might be primed to get a silver or bronze medal at Worlds. I mean, I think those two things aren't mutually exclusive. Is that where you guys kind of stand on this?
Yeah, because Elaine Thompson-Herah ran 10.54 last year. She's the world record holder, in my view. When she's on, she's not losing to anyone. So look at the women Sha'Carri beat on Saturday. Shericka Jackson, 10.7 woman, bronze medalist from last year's Olympics. Dina Asher-Smith, who just won the Diamond League the week before in Birmingham, is the silver medalist from 2019 Worlds. She went in 1 week from being fourth in a domestic field, getting beat in Jacksonville at that American Track League, to now against a world-class field, she's second, and the only person who beat her was Elaine Thompson-Herah. That's tremendous progress in 1 week. And if she can just stay healthy, keep training, stay consistent between now and the World Championships in July, she has the potential to get a whole lot better. And Robert said, could she even contend for the win? I don't think it's totally out of the question. I think it's going to be very, very tough to beat Thompson-Herah or Shirley-Ann Fraser-Price, who have both already run fast this year. But Saturday's race was a reminder of just how big a talent Sha'Carri Richardson is, because the gulf in the talent level between her and the rest of the Americans is very, very wide.
Yeah, but what's interesting is, the weird thing is, you and I are viewing it as a positive now. She gets a medal at Worlds because the expectations are, but if she gets third, she'll probably view that as a disappointment, and maybe the public at large will view it as a disappointment. Maybe that's not fair because these other sprinters, are so good. One reason why I think that she potentially could win, because I was like, even if she gets back to her peak form from that's probably not enough to beat Elaine Thompson-Herah, but Elaine has been injured, and she talked about, some days I feel good and I can train, some days I don't feel good. Now, she pulled out of the Birmingham meet, ran the same day in Jamaica, and I asked her about that in the mix zone and got yelled at. Go ahead and watch the YouTube video. She's like, if you were listening, I said, well, memo to everyone who's listening to this podcast and sees my interviews on YouTube. People are like, why do you leave mid-answer sometimes? Because There's only one of me, and there's like 40 athletes down there. So if someone comes in that I haven't talked to, I might go over there in the middle of the interview, and I can't stand there for the entire beginning and end. So I apologize to Miss Elaine Thompson-Herah.
But what, Robert? I don't know if you have anything to apologize here for, because she explained she had a dislocated shoulder and it had given her problems in training. But then you asked her, why did you withdraw from Birmingham only to run in Kingston on the same day? And she said, well, I already said, if you were listening before, I had a shoulder injury. But that doesn't answer your question. That doesn't explain why she didn't run one race due to an injury, yet she was still feeling good enough to run the race on the same day in a different location. She did not answer your question. So I don't think you were doing your job as a journalist. She was a little ticked off, maybe didn't want to go into details about it, but I don't think you have anything to apologize in that situation.
The YouTube commenters loved it. Wow, she wet him up and walked away like he was now dead to her. FFV Gaming says she cooked him and then smiled.
Speaking of Jamaican slang, I guess we can just say this episode's explicit. If we say a word that's explicit in Jamaican English but not American, do we have to label it as much? But remember we had the word is that the word? So this was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. It might have been a Friday 15, which is the Supporters Club only podcast. If you want a second podcast every week, go to letsrun.com/subscribe. This is a subscription that can pay for itself. You can save 20% on running shoes right now. So that's pretty good. You buy a pair of shoes. I hate to tell you, but a lot of shoes these days are $150 and up. Boom. You save $30 right off the bat. Sign up for a year, you get a free t-shirt. It's a great deal. But essentially, Elaine Thompson's ex-girlfriend...
Sha'Carri's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, excuse me. Sha'Carri Richardson's ex-girlfriend.
Janique Brown,
thank you, John. The former hurdler from Arkansas. She essentially was responding to the allegations from Sha'Carri that she stole from her and abused her and all this stuff. And she just she did an Instagram video and just repeating the word. And it's essentially like Jamaican slang for MF or something worse. And I'm out there playing in my over 40 soccer league, and this guy tries to juke this guy in the sideline, kicks out of bounds, and he just yells, "Bumba clot, bumba clot." And I just went up to him, I go, "You're Jamaican, dude." He goes, "What?" I'm like, "You just yelled bumba clot." And he goes, "How'd you know?" And I'm like, "Oh, I heard it. I heard this." I couldn't tell him the story. So you learn something every day on the Let'sRun.com Track Talk podcast. We thank you for your support. If you want to reach us, you can call us 1-844-LET'S-RUN. As this podcast started, we just got a voicemail. I'm going to check it right now because Robert never checks the voicemail. Email us as well, podcast@letsrun.com.